Ok. Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Nicolás Rivas. En nombre de la Dirección General de Relaciones Institucionales de la Universidad del Biobío, les doy la bienvenida a la Feria Virtual de Movilidad Estudiantil 2021. Como parte de este evento, hoy día tenemos con nosotros a Kate. Bienvenida, Kate. Welcome, Kate. Ella nos hablará sobre Grand Valley State University. Entonces, pueden dejar sus preguntas en el chat o al final de la reunión pueden hacer sus preguntas vía micrófono. So, Kate, you can start.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me today virtually at University of BOBO. I appreciate it. I have yet to visit you physically, so this is good to at least have a virtual visit with you all. As Nico said, my name is Kate Stetzner. I'm the Director of International Students at Grand Valley State University. We are one of the exchange options that you have at University of BOBO. To come to Grand Valley. We are located in Michigan, in the northern part of the United States. And I'm here to answer some questions that you may have and tell you a little bit about Grand Valley and figure out if this is a great location for you to do a study abroad at. We have had several students come, I don't know, maybe for the past 7 or 8 years, maybe. Have been coming to Grand Valley and I think have done really well. They're coming mostly from the English education program at University of BOBO, coming here and taking classes at Grand Valley. Grand Valley is a public university. We have about 25,000 students that attend here. Like BOBO, we have 2 campuses. So you have one in Concepcion, right, and one in Xi'an, is that correct? And then Grand Valley has our main campus is in Allendale, and then our other campus is in Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids is the second largest city in the state of Michigan, and Allendale is a little community. So I think that's kind of similar to how University of BOBO is set up. Students move at Grand Valley between the 2 campuses regularly, sometimes every day, sometimes several times a week. It's likely as an exchange student that you would live on the Allendale campus. That's where most of our housing is. And you would probably take most of your classes in Allendale, but you might have 1 or 2 that were downtown. Certainly you would find yourself going downtown for restaurants and going out if you like to go dancing, things like that at the club downtown. That's what you would maybe go down there for. So we have 25,000 students. About 400 of those 25,000 are international students. So it's a pretty small group. It's very likely that when you're here, because the group of internationals is small, that you would really get to have a good immersive experience with American students, right? You wouldn't be able to come and just only spend time with students from Chile or from other countries. There's not enough to have that group only be your friends, right? You would be expected to be connecting with the American students and having a true American university experience. On our campus, we have everything, right? We have all kinds of majors. Additionally, we have varsity athletics, we have intramural athletics, we have workout facilities, we have over 300 student organizations. One of our student organizations that I like to talk about is called BTW, which stands for Bringing Together the World. And it is a student organization that is both for international students and American students to sort of share their experiences, share the culture. They had a costume party last weekend because, of course, Halloween is coming this weekend. They had a murder mystery dinner, not where anyone was murdered, but they had a pretend event, and that was fun. They've done things like pumpkin carving and trivia contests, and they'll do hay rides. And so they'll do some things that are uniquely American, and then they'll also do things that are just fun because you're a college student and you like to be together and hang out. There's all kinds of other student organizations. If you wanted to do some organization that was in your major, there's probably one that focuses on that. There's volunteer opportunities in the community, whether you want to work with kids or animals or older adults, or you want to build houses, things like that. That would all be possible here. When you're so close to the second largest city in the state of Michigan, lots of options are available for connecting into the community. We're also about a half hour away from the beach. which is not such good news in January, but in the summer and in the early fall and late spring, that can be fun to go and spend some time right on Lake Michigan, which is about a half hour away, as I said. When you're here, the way the program works with University of BOBO is you're paying tuition to University of BOBO, and there's an exchange agreement. So you would come here and a Grand Valley student would hopefully go to University of BOBO. You would essentially switch spots. And then you generally are paying for your housing when you're here and books, as well as food costs. We do recommend that you get a meal plan when you're here. It's not required, but we recommend it so that you have time to study and spend time with your friends and volunteering, things like that. But also food is a big part of being social, right? Connecting with other people. We do, however, place all international students in a housing unit where you would have where you have a kitchen, so that if you chose to not get a meal plan but chose to make your own food, that would be fine. There's a grocery store that's on the bus line. As a Grand Valley student, you get a Grand Valley student ID card, and then you can ride all of the buses in the city of Grand Rapids for free. So you would easily be able to go to the grocery store and come back to your apartment and prepare your own food, whether you wanted to do that, several times every day or, once a week. So you can sort of decide how many meals you wanted to eat on campus in our cafeteria, and whether that was worth it to have a meal plan or not. Most of our housing for international exchange students is apartment style. So generally you live 2 people in a bedroom, and in your apartment, there are 2 apartments. So there's 4 people, 2 in each bedroom. You share a bathroom. You would share a kitchen and generally a living room. That's most typical. There are options where you would live in your own bedroom and share with 3 other people in their own bedrooms. The more individualized space you want, the more expensive it is. I'm going to share my screen and just put up this flyer. I'll be emailing this to the International Center in Chile pretty soon, maybe even right after this meeting, and maybe it'll go out tomorrow. But this is our downtown campus, and this little picture here is called Little Mac Bridge, and a little bit about Grand Valley. And this will have my information. I'll leave that up for just a minute so you can pull my email address. Feel free to email me if you have specific questions that I don't answer on this presentation. We do have a Facebook site if you're on Facebook. We also have Instagram. If you want to check out what the Grand Valley International students are doing, we'd be happy to have you follow us. And then information on applying, things like that, are available on the GVSU website, all located here on the left. On this sheet, again, I'll be sending this to the International Center. There'll be a link for the academics, all of the courses that you can take. Generally, the students coming from University of BOBO are in the English education program. Information on the student organizations is located here under student life, housing here, campus dining, campus recreation here. And then we'll show out the costs here for you. So it's about $6,900 is pretty typical for what a student from Chile is spending. So it's about $2,300 for housing, and then books can be very expensive in the United States. Our professors expect you to purchase your own books. There are opportunities to rent books, but you should expect that it costs a little bit. Meals is probably the one area. Meals and this miscellaneous expenses are the 2 areas that I think you can probably maybe spend some money on, save some money on. Obviously, if you're eating out every day, that's more expensive than if you're preparing food at home. However, I do recommend that, your first couple weeks, I do recommend that you understand that it's going to be expensive your first couple weeks. As you get started in the United States, you have to purchase things up front, right? Like you may or may not travel with salt and pepper, for example, or some spices or rice, or, probably you're not bringing your groceries with you from Chile, so there would be some startup costs. But there's also pizza costs, like the cost of being a student in the United States, this miscellaneous expenses. You will be spending time eating pizza with friends. So you should plan on that for sure. Just have a little pizza budget so that you don't feel left out if you don't plan to spend money to have a piece of pizza with friends, then that may inhibit your ability to hang out with people. So I do always recommend that you plan on a little bit of extra money, especially at the beginning when you're trying to figure out who your good friends will be. I'm hoping that my name has been up here long enough that you've been able to pull out that email address there. What can I help with your questions? I really would rather hear from you. What are your concerns? What excites you about Grand Valley? How can I help you get your application submitted?
Pueden hacer sus preguntas escribiendo en el chat o activando su micrófono, decirle directamente.
Yes, what Nico says. I only understood preguntas. You must have some.
Yes, I do have a question. Hello, Kate.
Hello, Diego. How are you?
Excellent. And you?
I am good. Glad to hear your voice today. How can I help?
Okay. It's in relation to the courses that we can have there, because I know that there are in relation to teaching English, but what are there? Are specific, we can choose them when being an interchange student, or you tell us what do we have to take?
Yep, that is a great question. And let me see if I can get you to where you can find the information. Just a second. So at Grand Valley, universities in the United States are a little bit different than in other countries in that you're admitted to the university, not to a particular program. So once you're admitted, then you're welcome to take classes in any area that you qualify for. So that means we would not let you take an advanced engineering class if you had never taken any engineering, right? But if you've had experience in classes, then you would be fine. We would, for example, allow you, if you were from Chile, you would be allowed to take an upper level Spanish course, right? That would be permitted. And hold on, I'm trying to look at the same time. So let me go ahead and share my screen to answer your question better. Diego. So as an international student, as an exchange student, you will have a prescription of classes that University of Bio Bio expects you to complete while you're here. So they will say, your university will say, in order for this to be a successful year or semester, you need to be sure and take whatever classes. And University of Bio Bio will make that recommendation to you. And they will give you some areas that are very firm, and they will give you some areas, some courses that are a little more flexible. And you will work with our academic advisors at Grand Valley to register for what you need. So we'll for sure be working with you to get what you need, and you'll know that before you arrive, whether or not it actually is going to work, right? But then there's likely to be some flexibility. And if you were to go to our website, gvsu.edu, and then search for the undergraduate catalog, the list of all of the classes that you could get, that you could take, are 77 web pages long. And you can just simply look, if you wanted to take this Understanding Africa class, great. If you wanted to take accounting for non-business majors, great. Now, if you wanted to do the intermediate accounting, it would say a prerequisite. You are not allowed to take that unless you have this accounting 240. And maybe you have an equivalent of accounting 240 at University of Bio Bio, and your academic advisor at Grand Valley would be able to say, yes, this works for you, and no, this does not work for you. Does that help answer your question, Diego?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so you're allowed to take a wide variety of classes at Grand Valley, but you'll want to also work with both University of Bio Bio and Grand Valley to be sure that you don't fall behind in your academic program at University of Bio Bio. It looks like there's a question in the chat about We have to pay our airfare. You're paying your airfare. You're paying for housing. Fernanda, you're paying for meals and books. So it's about $5,600. Does that help you, Fernanda? Yes, okay, perfect. What other questions are out there? How many of you have been to the US? You can just raise your hand on the reactions.
Pueden escribir en el chat o hablar vía micrófono. O sean tímidos.
Just one. Okay, two. All right. And Baylin, can you share where you were, where you were in the US?
I went to Maryland. I lived there for a couple of years.
Oh, you lived here for a while. Okay.
Yeah.
Fabulous. And I think I saw, Carla, was your hand up too? Maybe not. Benjamin?
Yeah, I've been to California and Utah for a couple months, some years ago.
Oh, okay. Okay. So neither of you have been to Michigan. That's all right. That's all the more reason to come. If you've been to the US, but you haven't been to Michigan. Carla's been to Los Angeles. Okay. Fabulous. And the rest of you, you just need to come to Michigan. It's going to be great. So Michigan is located up north, right? And Grand Rapids is about halfway between Detroit and Chicago. Now there's you will fly, when you come to Grand Valley, you'll fly into the airport in Grand Rapids. You'll probably fly somewhere. Usually I think from Chile, you fly either into Miami or into Houston, Texas, and then you change flights and then fly into Grand Rapids. And then when you get to Grand Rapids, then it's a little bit of a car ride out to Grand Valley. We're not right by the airport. We're out further. And then to get to Chicago, you could fly, although that would be kind of expensive. There's a bus that goes back and forth, and then there's one train a day that leaves from Grand Rapids. It leaves at like 7 in the morning and it goes to Chicago, and then it comes back at like 11 o'clock at night. So you could, in theory, you can go to Chicago in a day and come back all on the train. And that train, their normal price is around $50, and they frequently run student fares, which are like maybe 14 US dollars. So that's pretty affordable. To get to Detroit is a little bit trickier. There's only buses, there's not a train, but I suspect that you will have many friends from one of the Detroit suburbs. We do recruit a lot of students from there, so it's likely that you would get to go visit Detroit with a friend and drive there in their car. That seems very likely. So those are the two big cities that are close to us. What else can I help with? What are some of the activities that you like to do? Diego, you have a question.
Yes, well, that is very specific. It's in relation to the COVID restrictions at the university.
Yes.
Are there, if there are some restrictions, or it's just the common ones in US?
Yep. So right now, President Biden has announced that beginning November 8th, all visitors, all travelers to the United States must be fully vaccinated. So you will have to abide by that US policy to be vaccinated to come in. And the good news is then that makes it easy to abide by Grand Valley's rules. Grand Valley does have a mandatory vaccine policy. We do allow religious and medical exemptions to that. I have not seen the exemption possibilities from the US State Department to enter the US, although I'm sure there will be some. But yeah, we do have COVID restrictions. We also are still on campus. We are all masked all of the time, unless you're in a private office. So right now I'm in my own office and my door is closed. But if somebody were to walk into my office, I would need to put my mask on. But you would be masked in all of the classrooms. In your own residence hall, in your room, you do not have to be masked, but in any common area you do. Outside, you do not have to be masked, but inside you do. Fernanda, yes, you're allowed to go visit other cities anywhere in the US, right? Obviously, we expect that you study and do well, perform well academically, so you can't forget why you've come to the US. But absolutely, we expect that you would do some traveling, whether it's to Chicago. I just talked with a student today at lunch who had been to Las Vegas. She's been doing some research. She's in health informatics, is her academic program. And she was asked to present at a conference in Las Vegas for her research. So she was there both for work and also for fun for her internship. So that was really great. And I had another student who has just been to Maine. So it's quite common to do some travel. Grand Valley just ended our fall break. We had 2 days off, Monday and Tuesday of this week. So we did have students who were traveling. And we have plenty of students who stay here and study, either way is fine. You'll find friends to travel with and other friends to study with. How does the roommate selection work? So that has just changed this year. I haven't seen 100% of the process, but from what I understand is you will enter your information into a portal, and you will be able to see other people who have also entered their information that they are going to live on campus. And I believe that you select each other. So you would know, like, okay, I stay up late and I'm very messy and I have to always be blaring the loudest music possible in order to study. And you would look for other people with similar characteristics. So I believe that you're doing most of the selection. Obviously, the later that you apply for housing, the less people there are for you to select from, right? So it's not always going to be a match made in heaven, but hopefully people are answering those questionnaires truthfully. I'm happy to help.
¿Más preguntas?
Hi.
Hi.
I have a question.
Okay, Ron.
I'm in the English teacher program, and if I'm not wrong, there are a scholarship that we have with the university. If you could explain a little bit about that.
So the way the exchange scholarship works is that your tuition at Grand Valley is paid for under the exchange. My understanding of how the scholarship part works in Chile, and Nico, maybe you can help with this as well, is that you're applying to the government of Chile for funding to help cover the additional study abroad cost. So to cover the flight and room and board and books and food. That's my understanding. That's not coming from Grand Valley, that's coming from the government of Chile.
Sí, igual la universidad tiene unas becas y les voy a dejar aquí el correo para que puedan preguntar directamente a la persona encargada, que se llama Teresa. Ella les puede responder todas sus preguntas sobre algunas becas que les puede dar la universidad para que vayan a estudiar a otro lugar.
También puedo agregar algo. Hi, Kate. My name is Florencia. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Florencia. I think you are friends with Mike Vroman, yes?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have the summer program.
Yes, okay. Yeah.
So I want to ask you if you are going to send students in May.
I don't know yet.
Okay.
We have not heard of what the final decision from the university will be.
Okay.
Yep.
I hope so.
I know that Mike is very interested and keen to make that happen, but I have not heard if that will be permitted.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
Grand
you.
Valley is still trying to assess how we're going to, we're doing a lot of risk assessment right now and trying to determine whether or not we can send students, even though we know that they're, like in your case, right? We know that you're very strong on the ground and happy to help if there's any kind of emergency. But we need to be sure that Grand Valley is ready for that risk. So.
Yeah. Okay. So in relation to the scholarships now, the government scholarship, we don't have that anymore. I mean, it's suspended for some time.
Okay.
But I hope they come back. But now I have here like 2 or 3 students who are applying for a scholarship that the university is offering now. So that's why, like Benjamin, Belen, I think, they applied already. And that scholarship will cover almost everything. So,
Okay.
yeah, so, but we don't have the state scholarship anymore.
The state funding is not available.
Unfortunately.
Okay.
So I hope with the next government, we can have it again.
That will be reinstituted for sure.
Yes,
That
I
makes
hope
it
so.
possible for
Yeah.
people to come.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
¿Alguien más tiene preguntas?
Diego.
Yes, and the last question. What is the minimum English level required?
We require a 550 on the TOEFL or a 97 if you take the, no, 97, is that right? 80, I think it is on the IBT.
Yeah, I think it's 80.
80, yeah.
Yes, out of 120, right?
Yeah, yeah.
95 is so high.
That would be way too high. Yeah, I was like, wait, that doesn't sound right. I think, I'm sure you're right, Francia. I'm sure it's 80.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It's been a while. We haven't had anyone from Chile come for a while. I'm not,
I know.
all of those numbers aren't like fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad to talk with all of you today. I hope that you're excited to come and apply for Grand Valley. We'd be happy to have you join us on our campus. I will send that flyer to Teresa. Probably it will go out tomorrow to her and will be available, I assume, on the website somewhere for any help that she can provide. You should have my email address as well. Feel free to email me with any questions. Fernanda, I see you have another question. How can I help?
I will talk.
Okay.
My doubt is that I'm not that sure. I'm in second year, and I have heard that this scholarship is for people for who is in the third year. But I would like to know if I can go in the 4th year, or I don't know.
I don't know that I know the answer. Florencia, is that an answer that you know?
Yeah, you can go when you are on 3rd year, 4th year, or even 5th year, right? Even though now the scholarship that the university is offering is just for 4th and 5th year, I think. But we are crossing our fingers, so next year we can have the state scholarship again, and you can really apply at any year with that scholarship, Becas Chile. But we are waiting for that. Okay, so I think you should wait until you are on 3rd year or 4th year. That's more likely that you can apply for.
Okay, thank you.
Belen? Belen?
Belen, yeah. Close.
Belen.
I was
Okay.
just gonna say that you have to have the according to trying to answer Fernanda's question, we need to have the 50% of our whole program approved or passed in order to apply for this scholarship. So it kind of, you have to be in 3rd year of our major in order to apply for this scholarship. That's all I wanted to say. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you, Belen.
Yeah. That's helpful. I'm not 100% sure how that all works at your university. So yeah, that's good. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it. Take care of yourselves, and I hope to see you on campus in the future. This year, next year, the year after that. Maybe I'll visit you in Chile. I don't
Yeah,
know,
you
but let's
should.
meet in person. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Take care.
You
Thank you very-
too. Thank you,
Thank you very
Kate.
much.